What is up, guys? So welcome to a brand new video, and today we're gonna do some NFL picks. So this is week one of the NFL picks. So I'm gonna be picking the games and I'll be picking I'm just gonna be picking the games from week one to all the way up to week 18. Now normally I would now normally I'll probably would do this like probably either Tuesdays or Wednesday depending on the time. But today I'm gonna do it like right now. So for week one I'm gonna do it earlier, but I'm gonna do the NFL picks. So there you have it. So let's start off with the NFL kickoff games. So let's do Thursday night football. You got the Philadelphia Eagles going against the Dallas Cowboys. Now I do think that can this game be a little closer? I do think it can, but ultimately I'm gonna pick the Philadelphia Eagles. They're coming off from a Super Bowl, and I just still think that all the players in the from the Eagles. I do think that they're still a very good team, and I do think that they will demolish. They will beat the Cowboys in the kickoff game. Now to now the problem with the Cowboys is Jerry Jones doesn't know what he's doing with the team, they traded away Michael Parsons, so that's a big blow. Although you still got Dak Prescott, I mean they got George Pickens, but still I don't think they're gonna beat the Eagles in this kickoff game. You still got Jalen Hurts, you still got Saquon Barkley, you still got a really good defense. So I just think that this is this the Eagles gonna be the Eagles are gonna beat them. So next up we got the Chargers versus the Chiefs at Brazil. Now who knows if I'm gonna stream there or not? I don't know, to be honest, but anyways, let's talk about the Chargers versus the Chiefs. I do think that the Chargers are an improved team, and we're gonna see whether or not the Chargers are gonna beat the Chiefs. They haven't beat the Chiefs since like 2021, so I do think this can be the time that they can beat them. But I do think that although the Chiefs they're coming off of a bad loss against the Eagles, coming from the Super Bowl, so maybe there might be some anger. I do think that there are gonna be there's gonna be some frustration coming to the Chargers, but at the same time, you still got Justin Herbert, you still got a good offensive line, you know, you still got some decent wide receivers, but ultimately, I'm actually gonna pick the Chargers because I do think that there's gonna be some magic with the Chargers, that they're gonna be beating the Chiefs, and I do think that they're gonna be starting off 1-0. I know this may be sound shocking to some of you guys, but I kind of am believing in the Chargers this year. I don't know about them. You know, the playoffs is a whole nother story. But for now, I do think the Chargers are going to be winning the game in Brazil. So it's going to be streaming on YouTube, so anyone can watch it if you want to. So let's go with Okay, let's start with this. The Jets versus the Steelers. You got two revenge games. Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields playing against their old teams. What a matchup it is. And I do think that this could be an interesting game. You never know what's going to happen. Is Justin Fields the guy in the Jets? I don't know. I mean, to be honest. But Aaron Rodgers, I do think this could be his last season, or maybe next year could be his last season. But possibly, I do think there's a chance this year is going to be his last season, and he's going to play against none other than his old team, the Jets, who they cut him. And let's see who's going to win in the wrench game. But I'm going to say the Steelers are going to be winning this game. Next up, the Dolphins and the Colts. This game kind of is a little bit interesting. I don't know. I do think the Dolphins, they are a good team, but I don't know if Tua is going to stay healthy. The offensive line is not good. I don't know. I do think this team is capable on winning it, but the Colts, they have a good roster, but I don't know how Daniel Jones is going to play, but it's how it is. But I'm going to say the Dolphins are going to be winning this game. I do think the Dolphins are going to win. Next up, the Bengals and Browns. I'm obviously going to give it to the Bengals. Uh, I don't know what the Browns. I mean, they're in a rebuild mode. They got Joe Flacco. I don't think he's terrible, but he's getting up there in age. We don't know. I don't think Dylan Gabriel or Trevor Sanders is gonna play, but they're not gonna play. Which is I think is a good idea. I think you just sit down against a veteran, but I don't know. But I don't think this could be the. This is probably not gonna be a good year for the Browns. So Raiders and Patriots. I didn't mean to click it, but I'm gonna. This is an interesting matchup because you got two improved teams, and then you got one of them that has an explosive offense, Geno Smith. You got Geno Smith. You got Jacoby Myers. You got and you got Ash Gentry, and then you got Brock Bowers. And yes, and then you got Amari Cooper as well. They have a good offense. I do think they're going to do really good. Although I don't know about the defense. It's not terrible. I think last year they did pretty solid. So there's some questions about the defense. And then the Patriots, of course, they got some good offensive line. And then and I do think that the offensive line got a little bit better. I do think, and then they got Stephon Diggs. So could be interesting. But I don't know. But I just don't. I just think this is still a little bit too early for the Patriots right now. So I'm gonna say the Raiders are gonna win. Although I won't be surprised if the Patriots win. But I think this is one of those games where if it happened like later in the season, I think the Patriots would have won. But I do think this is the early part of the season. Next up, the Titans versus Broncos. I'm just gonna give it to the Broncos. This is Cam Ward's first season, first game of his career. So I do think there's going to be some growing pains with his Titans teams, and I do think Cam Ward. I don't know how he's going to do good. I don't know. I do think that there's going to be some struggles earlier on in the game. I do think he might figure it out later on, but it is very very tough for the Titans. You got to start with your rookie quarterback, so right here. So this is just some struggles here. The Broncos, I do think their defense is good enough to stop them. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to the Broncos right here. So we got the Ravens and okay, I'm not gonna touch that right now, but this is Sunday Night Football. But I'm gonna say so. This is the Panthers and the Jaguars. Both teams that are they're not like necessarily great franchises, but they're trying to put themselves as good teams. But I do think that this is a tough one, to be honest. You never know what they're gonna put up. I do think the Panthers are gonna be good on the offense, although I think the defense is gonna let them down. The Jaguars, same thing. Maybe the offense might do good, but the defense, very questionable about the defense. So you got two quarterbacks, Bryce Young and Trevor Lawrence, who did not really meet up to the expectation. Well, Bryce Young, maybe he might. Trevor Lawrence, he's not living up to the generational hype. But this is a close game. I do think this might be a shootout. I won't be surprised. But I'm gonna say the Jaguars. I trust their defense a little bit more, and I trust the offense. I don't know about that, but I think the defense is a little bit better to make me put the Jaguars. Next, we got the Texans versus the Rams. I do think the Rams are a great team. You still got Matthew Stafford going to play Week 1. You got Devontae Adams and the team. You got an improved defense. This team is really capable on, making being a serious contender. While the Texans, I do think the Texans are a better team than last year. Last year, the offensive line is terrible. Their wide receiver room keep getting injured. So there's a lot of this. So I do think the Texans are going to be a better team. Although I don't know, come playoff time, the offensive line can really make them to the next level. So that's just me. It's gonna be a little bit difficult for me to see them with the offensive line. But I would say the Rams are going to win it. And I do think that they are the better team than the Texans. Let's go to the Cardinals and the Saints. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I mean, the Saints, they didn't play Spencer Rattler. I don't know how he would actually do, but I don't think he would do that great. But I could be wrong. Maybe he might be pretty solid, but I just think the Cardinals are just a better team. You know, they got a better defense. The offense can run away with the Saints. I do think the Saints defense is decent, I would say, but I'm gonna say the Cardinals are gonna win. You got the Falcons versus the Buccaneers. I'm gonna say the Buccaneers are gonna win. I do think the Buccaneers are the better team. They got good defense. They got a good offense. You still got Mike Evans. Chris Godwin's coming back. Of course, Baker Mayfield is gonna be pretty good. The offensive line I do think is fine, and I do think that they're the better team. Next up, the Giants versus the Commanders. I'm gonna pick the Commanders. You know, the Giants. They're still a work in progress, in my opinion. You know, you know they have good preseason, but you know preseason is just a preseason, and they have a really tough schedule. So I don't think this is going to be the year that the Giants are going to make the next step. I mean, I do think they're going to be competitive most of the game, but they're not going to do much. And I'm going to say this: the 49ers with the Seahawks. Those are a really good matchup. But I'm gonna have to say, ultimately, I do think the Seahawks are gonna win. I do think that their defense can stop, you know, the 49ers. And I do think that um, this is like, you know, with the new group. I do think they have a little bit worse roster, but I still think the 49ers are a great team, and I do think they're capable on making a deep playoff run. But I don't. But that's still much to say. So I'm gonna say the Seahawks. Um, you know, let's see how the offense is gonna do. I do think they might be up and down this season, but I'm gonna say against the 49ers, they're gonna be beating the 49ers. Um, you get the Lions and the Packers with the addition of Michael Parsons. You know, they won. I do think they won the trade. I mean, although they pay a lot of money, I would say that. But I'm gonna say the Packers are gonna win, and I do think that they're gonna beat the Lions. They're gonna go 1-0. I do think that in this particular matchup, I do think that they're gonna be the defense can be too much for the Lions to win, and the Lions have to do with more offensive coordinator. They have to have to deal with the more offense coordinator. So that's why I'm gonna have to put the Lions losing. But but I would say later on, maybe the Lions probably would do fine. And then let's do Sunday Night Football, Ravens and Bills. This might be a toss-up game. Two great quarterbacks, Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. The question is, who's gonna win? This is the coin toss. I'm gonna say the Ravens. So I do think that they're gonna be starting off 1-0, and the Bills are just gonna, yeah, they're not gonna. I do think the Bills have a chance. This is hard to pick games like those, but I'm gonna say the Bills are gonna win this, and then of course the Vikings versus the Bears, and I do think that these two teams are going to struggle a little bit in the earlier season because they have to have some adjustment with the new quarterbacks. Well, Caleb Williams is not new, but he had to deal with the new coach, and Vikings. We know what's going on with JJ McCarthy, and the secondary is kind of questionable. It's kind of as a coin toss, to be honest. I won't be surprised if either of these teams win, but ultimately, it's kind of hard to pick, to be honest. Um, I'm gonna say this is a tough one. I'm gonna say the Chicago Bears. I do think that JJ McCarthy's first debut. I don't think is gonna be it's gonna be a little bit of a question mark. But I'm gonna say that the Bears are gonna win their first game of the season. Although these two teams, you can argue that they might struggle early on, in the season. But I do think that over time they're gonna be learning because with the Bears they got a new coach. They have to get some adjustment. With the Vikings, same thing with the JJ McCarthy. You have to adjust playing in the NFL. So there's that. So these are my game picks. Now I'm gonna and there you have it, guys. So thank you guys for watching this video. Please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.